Here in France, police have summoned screen legend Gerard Depardieu over two separate incidents of suspected sexual assault. The 75-year-old actor is now being held for questioning. Depardieu is being interrogated over two women's allegations that he assaulted them, one on a film set in 2014 and the other on another shoot in 2021. The actor has also been accused by more than a dozen other women of harassing, groping, or sexually assaulting them. He was handed preliminary rape and sexual assault charges in 2020 following allegations from actress Charlotte Arnoux. Depardieu denies any wrongdoing. Well, we're going to talk a bit more about all of this with Eric Randolph, who's the culture editor at AFP. Eric, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today. Just first of all, this is not the first time that Gerard Depardieu has faced accusations. He already faces a rape charge, claims of assault from more than a dozen women. He's strongly denied all of these. Is anything different this time?
Well, I think it's more a case that these allegations against him have been building for a long time. As you've stated, he was already facing rape allegations. There have been, and he's been preliminary charged with those. There have been other rape allegations by a Spanish journalist in Spain. There was another rape allegation that was dropped due to statute of limitations. And there have been a steady stream of reports in the press, women coming forward with testimonies of him being sexually aggressive on set. And it's just been building and building over quite a period of time. And there was also a documentary just before Christmas in which he was caught on film making very lewd comments in front of a female interpreter during a trip to North Korea. And I think that just the steady stream of these allegations has really been building to a critical point. And now he's being questioned officially on the most recent allegations. It's taking it to another more serious stage.
And Depardieu is not the only person of prominence in the French film world to have faced accusations like this. Over the past few months, French cinema has been rocked by allegations that it, as a whole, has shrugged off sexism and sexual abuse for decades. Has the Me Too movement finally arrived in France for good?
Yes, well, it's often been said that France was quite reluctant to follow Hollywood's lead in the Me Too reckoning that happened a few years ago. There was even a sense that it was somehow an un-French thing to tackle male aggression on film sets, and we even had some actresses such as the icon Catherine Deneuve, joining a petition saying that men should be allowed to continue to hit on women and pushing back against some of Me Too. But I think at various stages, there have been new waves of allegations that have made it harder and harder for French cinema to ignore that. And in particular, there was the case of an actress, Judith Godrèche, who recently came forward with allegations of how she was raped and sexually assaulted when she was a minor by two directors. And that actually ended up with her giving evidence in front of the Senate, the first time that had been done. And just seeing a lot more concrete demands for action for protecting people on set. And I think somebody put it that there's going to be an after Depardieu. He's become somewhat the poster boy in a negative way for this, and it's just reached a point where I think it's hard to go back. Whether there's any real change behind the scenes, that's still something to work on. But I think it's definitely become harder for France to ignore this and say it's just part of their culture.
It definitely does seem, though, that there is a major split in French cinema still, despite what you're saying, this before and after Depardieu. Even within wider society, I mean, you have some French people defending his right to presumption of innocence, others supporting his accusers. I mean, do you still notice that split going on today? Or do you think that those people who had so far been backing Depardieu, even the French president, Emmanuel Macron, might start to change their tune?
Well, like you say, I think you're right to mention Macron, because he got in quite a lot of trouble when he said that there had been a manhunt against Depardieu. The problem with Depardieu is he is still a huge star in France. He's done over 200 movies. He is really part of the fabric of French cinema. It's very hard for people to accept that he has to be completely written out of the history books, because his films are still such a legendary part of the culture, which is a problem that everyone is wrestling with in different parts of the world. And certainly there's a huge backlash against the idea of cancelling him. And I think Macron has tried to defend himself, and I think he speaks for a lot of people by making the case that so far he has not been judged guilty of any of these actions, and he himself, Depardieu, has denied any wrongdoing whatsoever in very strong terms. And so, there is still this ongoing debate over whether, even with all of these accusations against him, there is any actual proof, or until we've seen him condemned, whether it's right to have this, what he would call a media lynching. But I think the scale of the accusations against him are making it very difficult for people to associate themselves with him. And while initially he did continue to get film roles and was still a public figure, we now are seeing more and more people within the film industry distancing themselves from him. And he was barred from publicity work from one of his films last year, and he's becoming a bit of a liability.